Come with soft focus to Great Britain as we crack the code to the questions of our time. The coast is the meeting place for all the various varieties of plasma which constitute the cosmos, a heady confluence of elements, sea and land, castles and cottages, fish and mammals, fur, feathers, skin, and scales, all meet in a zesty cocktail of confusion. Philosophers have therefore always pondered within its proximity. In a deft maneuver typical of the cleverness we are renowned for, Soft Focus chose the seashore as the ideal meeting place for an encounter between ourselves and one of the most fascinating musicians of our era, Pete Kember, also known as Sonic Boom. Mr. Kember first achieved notoriety in the ultra-influential Spacemen 3 before working prolifically as Spectrum, Sonic Boom, and with the sound-making affiliation E.A.R. I can't wait to speak with him.
Soft Focus. Soft. Soft Focus.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just go through here and
okay.
I'll introduce you and we'll sit down and I'll clap. So, well, thank you very much for coming to talk with us.
Thank you.
You're known as an exponent of minimalism, and one thing that you're quoted as saying is one chord best. What about one word?
Wouldn't be very good for interviews, would it? I've done some stuff with loops of, groups or pairs of words, repeated over and over. But
I know when James Brown first recorded his first recording, it was please, 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 and the engineers didn't want to record it. They said, that's not a song, it's just a word. It's just one word.
yeah, well, I think James Brown could probably, and does with that song, pull it off. I mean, yeah, it's a little more than one word in the whole song, but yeah. Yeah, I didn't really set out to be consciously minimalist. It was just really, once I started exploring the sort of music that I liked the most, I started, realizing that the thing that they mostly had in common was a form of minimalism, where they were just using 2 or 3 chords, to create what for me was more interesting than a song with 40 chords in it. The music certainly is very much about making the most out of very little.
Yeah. When I first heard your music, when you were in Spaceman 3, it was very surprising and exciting. And one of the first things I heard was that you sat down during concerts, which was really unusual at the time.
Yeah, it was, and it doesn't actually, most venues, by the time you sit down, people can't see anything above their heads in front. But our music was really much more about concentrating on the mood in hand, and sitting down to play guitar certainly enables you to play better, in my opinion. Most people play better sitting down.
Yeah.
The whole standing up thing is to look fancy on stage, for an audience.
What about, have you ever played a show where people couldn't see you?
Yeah, we did shows as well where we put sheets across the front of the stage and had all the lights behind us. So we had all our oil lights and optokinetic lights going behind us, so all you could see were shifting shadows within this melange of of coloured light, basically.
Yeah.
It was distinctly unpopular with the audience, I have to say. It looked great, but I think the audience felt they were getting cheated on some level.
Yeah. It's interesting that people want that thing. I feel like when when the Beatles played the Cavern Club, people weren't looking at them. They were like talking,
drinking.
They were just hanging out. But now there's this focus.
Yeah, I like it when there's people drinking, personally. I like a little bit of atmosphere. I hate playing in theatres and very quiet.
Yeah, austere.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
I want to ask you about, because I feel like rock and roll groups now they're not content to just entertain people. There's always this kind of thing of trying to, get followers. It's a very cult-like activity.
I think we set out with the assumption that no one would really like what we did. We didn't. Most of our early experience with doing shows with Spacemen 3 was that people were either insulted or just didn't like it. So we didn't really ever think that we were doing it for... We hoped there would be a wider audience out there, so to speak. But yeah, it looked like a crazy direction to go if you were looking to get together followers or a cult or what have you.
Yeah.
Back then, it looked like actually the opposite of what you would do.
Well, the context was kind of like rave music was big and rock and roll was out, wasn't it?
I mean, we kind of overlapped with that. Spacemen 3 finished in like 1990 when the rave thing really kicked off.
Yeah.
And we played shows in 87 and 88 that were called the X parties, and they were the first ecstasy rave type shows in London. And they weren't dance-based stuff, it was loosely psychedelic music across several genres. And I think they were actually much more successful than a lot of the raves. But yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I thought you guys were kind of in that dark period for rock and roll. I think
the 80s was pretty dark for rock and roll. I think there was, in England, by the mid-80s, good English bands, you could count them on one hand, I think. Most of the bands that we liked from the 80s were American bands like the Cramps or the Gun Club. Yeah, and the English bands we liked, like the Folk Devils and bands like that, they never actually got any acclaim or success at all, really. So, yeah, it seemed like a wasteland at the time. You had the punk thing, which was great and really inspired people in a really cool way. And for a couple of years, up to '79 or something, there was a lot of really, really great records came out. But then there was this kind of punk ideology that it had to be new or different or, reinvent, had to be which of course punk never really was, actually.
Yeah.
It was a continuation of stuff that had been going on since the 50s. So yeah, it did feel like, we certainly didn't feel we had many contemporaries.
You're from Rugby, which is the birthplace of rugby, but also it's the birthplace of the jet engine.
Yeah, and the hologram as well. Yeah,
oh, really?
Weirdly, yeah. Yeah, it's just a small town with some factories and stuff. There's really nothing much goes on there. There's no real regular music scene or venues. It just felt the ideal place for us to stay, to do what we wanted to do, not really be disturbed too much. There was a certain isolationist sort of principle behind it, but we certainly didn't feel that we needed to move to London and try and latch onto some sort of scene or bandwagon or what have you. I think we just felt we were best developing in the environments around rugby, which it's what we were used to, really.
Now, I know that you went to art school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a tradition for English rock and rollers. It's art school. What is it about English art school that facilitates rock and roll?
I don't know. It's I guess because there is a certain tradition to it that if you do have an artistic bent and you're into music, I certainly went to art college with the main intention of hoping to meet other people to form a band with. I mean, that was definitely, you know, on the agenda. And Jason Pierce, who I formed Spacemen 3 with, basically had exactly the same agenda. Yeah. And it actually turned out that we were the only two people in our year that had that agenda. But I guess, I think because a lot of bands have been formed in that situation from people from art school. I mean, they give you a lot of freedom at art school. It's, you know, there's a lot of, I think more than most types of education, the art faculties are particularly liberal. Yeah. All the teachers are screwing all the pupils, and, you know, it's always a kind of strange and trippy scenario. But was visual art, did you go with the initial intention of making visual art as well? Sure, of course I did, yeah. Do you still make visual art? No, I don't really get the time, unfortunately, but... did rock and roll just seem more immediate than... I guess, I mean, I still am involved with all the sleeves and always have been, so on that level, on a sort of more graphic art level, then I do still have a constant interest in it. But actual fine art, it's all as an observer now, really. Yeah. I was wondering about your records. Are you really attached to the format, or do you not care about the format? I mean, do you... Vinyl? Yeah, like vinyl, for example, or... I gave up on vinyl so long ago. I'm really pleased to see that it's really made a resurgence lately. I always felt it was a much better format. Yeah, the sound things are something else, but the CD always just lacked something. When I was a kid buying a record, you couldn't go online and listen to 30 seconds of it on iTunes. You could go to the record shop and maybe see if the guy was in a good enough mood to play you track 1 on side 1. Yeah. But that was it. Yeah. You know, after that you'd be an annoyance to them. So you kind of had to spend your hard-earned cash on something, on some sort of risk based on the sleeve, what you thought, the overall look of the thing, the sleeve notes, and I think that was seriously diminished by CD. It's a hard one. You know, records use a lot of not very green substances to make them. There's a lot of petrochemical crap in them, but aesthetically, I much prefer them as objects. I've been thinking about this, the whole aspect of the rock and roll group not being green, because you're producing plastic and you're driving a lot. Yeah, someone said I had very bad carbon karma from all the flying that I do. Flying is really, that's crazy. Yeah. You're a Scorpio, is that, and Scorpios are supposed to be attracted to like the underworld, or kind of, or not, really? not the underworld, but secret, esoteric things, esoterica. Charles Manson was a Scorpio. Yeah. That's true. I guess he was attracted to. I guess so. Well, I'm wondering, because you have a record about, one of the many things that Spacemen 3 has given to the world is the idea of taking drugs to make music to take drugs to. I don't think we invented that concept. I think we just... But you articulated it very well. Yeah, we articulated it. But I'm wondering about LSD in particular. It was invented by the CIA. What do you think? Invented by the CIA? Well, not invented by the CIA, but utilized. No, Albert Hoffman invented LSD in Basel in Switzerland. The CIA bought vast quantities of it. Yeah. Yeah, allegedly they originally ordered a kilogram, and Sandoz said, we'd love to supply you with that, but we've only ever synthesized 3 grams. Although they did make them their kilo.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean invented them, but they, yeah, I don't know.
Abused, probably worse than anyone else, is probably the phrase you're looking for.
Well, John Lennon said, well, we hate the CIA, but we have to thank them for bringing us LSD.
I think probably Owsley gets a little bit more thanks from me for that.
Yeah. Okay, 1% of the U.S. population is in prison, and mostly because of drugs. What do you think of that?
I mean, what? I mean,
I guess English people have a much
if
different...
murder is drug related, are they in jail for being on crack when they shot someone, or?
Yeah, a lot of them are just there for possession.
Yeah, well, my feeling on all the common drugs of abuse is that they should be decriminalised, and it shouldn't be a criminal offence to be in possession of them, and that the sale of them should be, if it was properly regulated in ways that it has been shown in certain countries it could easily happen. You straight away take away a lot of the socially unwanted, let's say, side effects of using drugs like heroin or crack or whatever, amphetamines.
Do you see a correlation between the vogue for certain drugs and kind of war in the war, like Vietnam and the Golden Triangle, and then now Afghanistan with the poppy?
Well, the more wars there are, the more the distribution of drugs seems to be stepped up from those areas. I mean, that's easy to see on the street. I mean, there's a lot of Afghani hash around at the moment that hasn't been around for 20 years in this country. You couldn't get good Afghani hash. During the war in the Lebanon, nearly all the hash in this country was Lebanese and openly stamped by the families who were selling it to finance, their side in the conflict. It's kind of bizarre. It's kind of strange. For example, a body like the CIA, who a lot of people think of as being part of the mainstream part of American politics in a major way, could, for example, finance wars by smuggling cocaine in and creating a lot of the modern... I mean, crack hasn't existed that long. You know, I mean, people used to make freebase, but I don't actually know the history of the birth of crack, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was totally tied in with the CIA.
Yeah, there was an author who did an expose of a guy, Gary Webb, who was found suicided in his hotel, but he did a big expose about the CIA and crack. George Bush was the director at the time. Music is usually considered communal activity, but drugs are often considered antisocial.
Well, if society imposes makes certain things taboo, let's say, then people are going to sneak off to do heroin, or they're not going to openly do it in front of other people if they think they're going to be judged because of it, or smoking a joint, or doing a line, or whatever. People aren't going to do that in a social context while it's illegal. I mean, you can't smoke a cigarette. You have to go and stand outside to smoke a cigarette. So, which I think is crazy. I think that taking away people's freedom of choice, I don't understand why there can't be places where people who don't mind or want to work there and be able to smoke, and people who want to be able to go and smoke and drink inside at the same time can go. I don't see that that's a big problem. I don't see why it has to be imposed. And actually, I think it's a bad thing. I mean, it certainly made smoking a lot more visible in some ways, in that people stand around on the streets smoking.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Pavements are now for smoking on more than they're for walking on.
There's some number of English pubs that are closing every day. Something like 500 English pubs close every day because of smoking laws.
Well, that's probably not a bad thing, but
you know, it's because if you're
we could lose a few of the bad ones.
If you don't, okay, I did want to ask you about modism, because you cover Evie Sands, and I don't know, you just seem to have this kind of mod. There's this like mod undercurrent, and then you have these nice sweaters. You just seem kind of mod.
With the nice darned elbows.
Oh yeah.
I like a lot of the music that came out of that period. I think that was a point where what was going on with some of the jazz elements that had been popular and rhythm and blues, I think that's where it really kicked off, you know. Once people were downing loads of speed pills, suddenly the records got really good.
Yeah.
You know, that early Who stuff, Graham Bond Organisation. There's a period, you know, that's 65, 66, just coming into psychedelia sort of stuff. There's so many amazing records from that period.
Yeah.
There's just amazing energy going around. But yeah, the mods kind of had it down. I've never really been a mod, but they have the sharp fashions, great music, good drugs. Well, they did.
You mean they don't anymore?
Well, all those pills have been taken off the market now.
Oh, that's true.
All those Prellies and Mandys and all those Black Bomber type things are long gone now.
Yeah, all those things were developed by the army, I think, to keep people awake.
Yeah,
when they were
I think
flying a bomber.
in the Second World War, they basically would give anyone speed who wanted it for working,
That's how
fighting, whatever.
Elvis got hooked. Everybody who'd go into the army, and in fact, I think that's the secret of the '60s, is that there was compulsory, or people had to serve, and then they were all hooked on speed.
Yeah.
Because that's, but you know.
I don't think it was really considered a drug.
Yeah,
It was considered something a little bit stronger than coffee.
Yeah.
That's a necessary thing. Yeah. It wasn't invented, I don't think, until the 30s anyway, so it was a relatively new wonder drug. They probably didn't really know how destructive amphetamine use can be to the body physically.
Maybe amphetamines caused World War II. In the same way that cocaine caused disco.
They might have prolonged it a bit.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, because the confidence, Nazi Germany, amphetamine.
Well, Hitler was supposedly a big speed freak himself.
Yeah.
But a lot of the big pharmaceutical companies of the world based in Germany, and things like heroin and aspirin were actually taken off Bayer as war reparations during the First World War, because they had offices in America. The Americans took basically all Bayer's products, which is why aspirin, even though it's a registered brand name, you can buy aspirin made by anyone. It's just like a generic thing. Heroin, of course, no one really wants to use that brand name. It's
well,
it's not a good seller.
It's the Germans also invented magnetic tape.
Yes, yeah.
We have to thank the Germans for a lot of things.
A lot of things, camouflage, all sorts of stuff.
I thought camouflage was English.
No, the Germans used camouflage for about 10 years before the English. They used it from the early 30s. And by the time the English started using it, right at the end of the Second World War, the Germans had probably gone through 12 or 14 different camouflages for different terrains and different campaigns, yeah.
But Indian mutineers invented khaki.
Yeah, right, yeah. Yes. Yeah,
So-
I guess, I mean, the German uniform is grey. It's not a great camouflage colour, really. So I suppose they needed it.
But they had those patterns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they had all the crazy
The
patterns and
SS
shit.
guys.
Yeah, and again, with the ships, they used to paint them all with these razzle-dazzle.
Yeah, Cubist. They got Cubist.
Yeah, it was all very influenced by that. They realised they could distort the way things looked and camouflage them effectively.
It's wonderful to talk to you. Thanks a lot.
Nice one.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And
Okay.
thanks for coming, you guys.